All right, for everyone who has joined early and on time, want to thank you for being so prompt. Going to leave another 60 seconds or so for everyone to join the webinar before we get things kicked off, but bear with us. We should start pretty soon.
Alvin, can you see my screen? You good there?
Yep, looks good, Sean.
Perfect.
All right, I think we can get things going today. Thank you, everyone, again for hopping on the webinar. My name is Alvin. I am with J.E. Brown. I lead the sales and marketing efforts over here. And today we're going to be talking about all things Hiscox Now and why they are a top-tier partner for small commercial business. Before we get started, I do want to let you know everyone is in listen-only mode, and that's to make sure we have a smooth and seamless experience today. However, we do encourage questions, feedback, chats, all of that great stuff. So somewhere within the window of what you're viewing right now, there's going to be a toolbar. Feel free at any time if you need more information, if you have a question, or you want us to slow down on a specific item, put it in that chat. We might not answer it exactly in that moment because it might be in the presentation, but at the end, we will get you answers or we will follow up with you after today's call and make sure we clarify. And if there's any additional training needs, we can absolutely accommodate all of that stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Sean Ireland, who's our partner at Hiscox Now. Fantastic gentleman. He's going to be going over the meat and potatoes. And if you, like I said, have any questions, feel free to chat them in. I'll monitor that while Sean is presenting.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alvin. As Alvin mentioned, my name is Sean Ireland. I am one of the partnership managers here at Hiscox with the J.E. Brown relationship. You will see two of me on this webinar. The other Sean Ireland in the webinar is a member of our underwriting team named Kasheri Smith. She's one of our top underwriters for digital partnerships, and she's on to help me answer all of the questions that you're going to ask that I don't know the answers to. Kasheri's a great resource, and I'm very happy to have her along because we've had a lot of success answering agent questions throughout these webinars. So today's webinar is going to be a little different than ones you may have attended in the past. So I'm going to go over all four products that Hiscox has through J.E. Brown, but this one's going to be really focused on the GL product, which is our most popular product overall, one we see a lot of traction with a lot of our agents, especially in our landscape, janitorial, and small contractor segment. So I'm going to make this one a little more, actually a lot more GL specific, but also cover the other three products we have to offer as well. So let me get started here. So first and foremost, why use Hiscox Now? We have a very broad appetite. We have admitted liability insurance for over 480 professions and growing. We use a rules-based or portfolio underwriting system, which means we look at everything in the rules that go into the capsule here of Hiscox Now. If it fits, we'll quote it. And if the quote pops out, you can write it, you can bind it. So it's very streamlined quoting process. We don't need loss runs. We don't need things like that. We welcome new ventures. We insure brand new businesses, and we have competitive premiums where our policies start from $22.50 per month. The online application is fast and simple. You don't need an appointment with Hiscox directly. If you're appointed with J.E. Brown, you have access to these products. Binds happen instantly. We have same-day effective dates, and you get the policy docs within 5 to 10 minutes. All of our policies are direct bill. We have a support team available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of our policies auto-renew, and we are A-rated by AM Best. So let's jump into general liability. What is the right fit for general liability? General liability is recommended for potential clients who have a business with physical premises, that have any sort of customer interactions or operations that may pose risk of bodily injury, property damage, or advertising liability claims. Some of the benefits and reasons we recommend GL, or why you might want to recommend GL to your customers. It's a comprehensive coverage, so it's broad protection against liabilities like slip and fall, property damage, and advertising claims. More often than not, there are contractual requirements for contracts and leases. So if you have small contractors that are bidding on a job and want to win that job, part of that contractual requirement is going to be general liability coverage. Customer confidence. If someone is bidding on a job, they're going to get a lot more swings at the plate if they demonstrate they have a commitment to safety and reputation with the GL policy. And it's pretty much the industry standard, and it's really common and expected in high-risk industries like contracting. You'll find that very consistent across the board. Let's go over some of the specifics for the Hiscox general liability policy. So again, a GL covers claims of bodily injury, associated medical costs, and damage to property on or off premises. So it covers liability for property damage or bodily injury to third parties. It covers employees and temporary staff. We can bind up to $2 million occurrence limit online and up to $5 million upon referral or request. It covers defense costs outside of limit. There is no deductible for most industries. There's a work from home discount, which we'll talk about a little later on, that is subject to minimum premium. Coverage starts at $350 per year. And we do have a $500 minimum premium for classes like retail, landscape, janitorial, and artisan contractors. One of our most popular add-ons is our business property and equipment coverage, also known as BPP. It covers loss or damage to computer equipment or contents, up to $25,000 in coverage limit, and that's offered in $5,000 increments. We do have an off-premises sublimit for $2,500 for all professions except mobile food. So if you have a risk or a customer that is taking any sort of materials or belongings off premises, that $25,000 coverage limit is now $2,500. The only outlier there is mobile food, where we can go up to $25,000. And when we say off premises, what is covered, especially in a mobile food situation, the reference I always hear is like turn the truck over and whatever falls out of the food truck or the food cart is what would be covered with that off-premises sublimit. Coverage for BPP starts at $135 per year for $5,000 in coverage with a $500 deductible. And this coverage is available both after a GL quote is produced or along the way in the journey. So when you have a GL quote in the Hiscox portal, you'll be able to see that you can add that as you go along, or once that quote is produced, there's an option to go back in and change some of those coverages. So whenever is most comfortable, you can quote it both ways to see what the coverage premium looks like, but it's available both ways.
Sean, really quick, on the 5 million on request that you mentioned, how would an agent go about getting that higher limit that's not available through the system?
Yeah, so what happens is during the journey, you're going to have the availability to choose a higher limit. And then once you get to the end of the quoting screen, it's going to say this is going to have to be looked at by one of our underwriters, and we respond in 24 to 48 hours with a decision on that and a rate if it applies. Or a really easy way to do it is to call into our customer service center and start the quote that way with one of our service reps and tell them flat out, you'd like to start a quote for general liability. They'll walk you through the process, but then make it very clear that you want to have up to 5 or whatever that limit is above the 2 million, either between 2 and 5 million.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Some coverage details there on the right. These automatically renew. It is an ISO form, so our GL product is an ISO-based product. It's a monoline product. It's very startup friendly. And we do have automatic blanket additional insured included at no charge. So that blanket AI coverage ends once an operation is completed or a lease agreement ends. 3 of our other optional add-ons for general liability include primary non-contributory, which refers to coverage extended to an additional insured so long as you have agreed in writing prior. It makes the insured's policy primary and does not seek contribution from other available insurance. It's offered on a blanket basis, and it's available in all states except Alaska. Hired and non-owned auto endorsement covers claims against your business if an employee has an accident while using their own or rented vehicle for business purposes. It's available for all classes except artisan contractors, landscape, janitorial, retail, and mobile food. Limits go from $300,000 to $2 million, and those limits cannot exceed the GL occurrence limit. Claim payments on this are made as a part of the GL aggregate limit and not in addition to. And it's available in all states except Alaska, Illinois, Louisiana, Vermont, and Washington. And then waiver of subrogation is an agreement between two parties in which one party agrees to waive subrogation rights against another in the event of a loss, so long as you do so in writing prior. And that's available in all states except Alaska. And here's a coverage map for our GL. So this goes across the entire continental US, and then we have coverage in Hawaii. The only state, like we talked about, where there is no coverage is Alaska. And here are some classes we really love right now at Hiscox. So this is a good list of classes where we're really strong. Underwriting team loves these, and we have really competitive pricing. So architects and engineers, interior designers, mental health counseling, home health aid and personal care. Home health aid and personal care, actually, those are new classes. I shouldn't say they're new. They're classes we resurrected from the COVID times. We started those back up with eligibility at the end of February. So those are now live again for GL and PL. Occupational and speech therapists, any consulting classes we love, marketing, advertising, public relations, graphic and web design. Photography has always been very strong for us for GL. Tis the season, accounting, tax prep, and bookkeeping. Software development, and then I put these in green because these are our small contractor classes we really want business in right now. So any electrical work, glass installation and repair with no auto work, locksmiths, and carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. All very strong classes for us right now. And this is a claims example to kind of get you in the headspace of what a GL product would cover. This is a hairdresser's bodily injury. So a hairdresser has a customer, and while shampooing the customer's hair, the chair slips and the customer hits her head on the sink. The customer loses consciousness and must be taken to the ER. The general liability policy could protect against claims by other people for personal injury and property damage. That's just one example. I'm sure if you're a seasoned agent, you know plenty of examples of how general liability can apply and when those claims would be applicable. Now I'm going to veer off into kind of a subset of our GL product, which is our artisan contractor product. The product itself remains the same for the most part, but what I really want to talk about is the availability and some of the limits in terms of revenue that we have on artisan contractors. So you can see there, the map looks very similar to the general GL map. The big difference is New York. So we do not have artisan contractor coverage available in New York at this time, but all other states, including Hawaii, do apply. Alaska is still the outlier as per the original GL map. So target appetite, you can see I highlighted those other ones in green like we had before in the ones we really want to write these days. So for interior contracting, I'll just read a couple of these. I won't read the whole list. Carpentry is very popular for us. Handy person is a massive class. We get a ton of quotes a year in handy person. Any sort of plumbing, so commercial or residential. Sign painting and lettering, or I have it there twice, it's so popular. And upholstery work. For the installation and repair classes, we have air conditioning, appliance and accessories, drywall or wallboard. Again, glass, very popular right now, very competitive, as well as locksmiths. And then for our exterior contractors, we'll do driveway or sidewalk paving and repaving. Masonry works in there, plastering or stucco work, which is similar. Window cleaning, nothing above 15 feet. And I want to make it clear too, if you look up here in the black, it says Hiscox Now covers the following professions. So all of our small contractors have a $500,000 max in annual revenue. Most of our other classes will do up to $5 million in annual revenue. The only other outliers there are architects and engineers, which will do, I believe it's $1 million in annual revenue for those classes. But this is a big thing to understand. 500,000 is the max for artisan contractors. And then getting into a little bit here of the exclusions. None of these should be a surprise to anyone on this call, but we do not cover anyone that provides or subcontracts directly the following services or works on any projects involving the following materials or infrastructures. So things like blasting or demolition, asbestos, lead or mold, crane operation, fracking, scaffolding operation, waste removal, any work on airports, amusement rides, pools or playgrounds, any sort of bridges or dams, hazardous materials, landfills, any sort of oil, gas, or well, and underground storage or tanks. These are all, like I said, pretty obvious, but we don't have any coverage or will not provide coverage for anybody that works on these classes or contracts with these classes. So now one of the new features here is some selling points. So we like to talk about what could potentially be a differentiator with the Hiscox policy, since it is an ISO form with the coverages. We do have a 14-day cancellation for full refund available for most industries. So generally, you'll see things where if you sign up for the policy, if you want to cancel that, there's a prorated piece of that premium, or there's a penalty for canceling within a certain amount of time. So 14-day for us is somewhat unique in the industry. We talked about that work from home discount, which is up to 10%. All are eligible under certain conditions, and that is subject to the minimum premium. So we talked about that before. If you are at that $350 minimum premium, we're not going to drop it another $35 down. But if your premium does go above that minimum, it could be eligible for that 10% work from home discount. Speaking of discounts, we do have the multi-line discount if bundled with another product. So with our GL, you could obviously pair that with a professional liability or a cyber liability. That would be a 10% discount. And again, won't apply to minimum premiums. The automatic additional insured endorsement at no cost. So there is no limit to the entities under that blanket additional insured. But if you need a scheduled AI form for some reason, if you need it specific to a scheduled AI, we'll do the first one free, but then it would be a $50 charge for any others specifically scheduled additional insured. So the blanket AI at no cost, we believe, is a pretty big benefit for the policy. Automatically have a $0 deductible for the majority of industries. We do have the first party BPP. So we talked about that on the GL wrap up there. A little bit like an inland marine, not as expansive, but it does give you that coverage for business personal property. We have the waiver of subrogation and the primary non-contributory endorsements available. We always work at when can these apply? So when you do work at a client location, the primary non-contributory is another one of those endorsements that could be required by contract, right? And we always like to say the primary non-contributory acts at the start of a claim, and the waiver of subrogation would apply if you had it on the policy after a claim has been submitted. So they kind of work similarly, but one covers before claim happens, the other one would happen after a claim would be submitted. We do have hired and non-owned coverage for most, available for most industries. So that's when an employee or rental vehicle used by employees is used to do business tasks. And the vehicle must be hired, not owned by the business entity or owners of the business entity. So it's something that is hired, not specifically owned. And then last but not least, we have 49 states available for the majority of our GL classes. Small contractors would still be 48 states availability. All right, so that was all the GL information. Let me jump over to the other three lines of business that we do have through J.E. Brown. The first one is our professional liability, also known as errors and omissions. And this is coverage for errors and omissions that occur or have alleged to occurred in the course of providing professional services. So it covers claims of negligence, even if your client hasn't made a mistake. It covers claims for libel and slander arising from your client's services. The retroactive date on this policy would equal the existing policy retroactive date if they were switching from another carrier. It covers awarded damages and legal defense costs. Punitive damages are covered up to $250,000 where allowed by law. It covers services done by your client's employees, temporary staff, and independent contractors. There's a $200,000 copyright infringement coverage for most marketing and graphic or web design classes. Again, similar to the GL, we write up to $2 million ag online and up to $5 million upon request. We have various deductibles from $0 to $10,000, and coverage starts from $270 per year. And the coverage details you'll see on the right are very similar. Automatic renewal, admitted paper, it's a monoline product, and the automatic blanket AI is included at no charge. The difference here is that this is not an ISO product. This is a custom form that Hiscox has, so not an ISO form, which allows us to do some unique things on that form. Exactly the same as the GL coverage map. All states except Alaska are available to write with. Next, I'll talk about our BOP, business owners policy. I have 300 plus classes and growing through 2023. I believe right now we're close to the 320 class mark with our BOP policy. And so BOP is kind of like a combo property and GL. So it covers claims for bodily injury, associated medical cost, and damaged property, plus coverage for business equipment. So this is where you're going to find those higher limits for things like business personal property, where the GL would max you out. At a certain level, you could find higher limits on the BOP product. It covers liability for property damage or bodily injury to third parties and business property, just like the GL. $2 million occurrence limit online, up to $5 million on referral. Will cover a max of $250,000 of business contents and a max of $500,000 on buildings. Now, right now, currently, all building coverage does require an referral. So if you go in and quote building coverage through the portal on a BOP, once you get to that final screen, it'll say this has been referred to an underwriter, and that underwriter will then take that that limit in consideration and most likely reach out if they have any questions to see if they can finalize that quote for you. It covers a loss of electronic data up to $10,000 and an interruption of computer operations covered up to $10,000. Loss of business income is covered up to 6 months. Crime, threat, primary non-contributory, and HNOA upgrades are available for this policy. We have various deductibles ranging from $500 to $25,000, and coverage starts around $495 per year. This is an automatically renews. This is an admitted product as well. It's monoline, and the automatic blanket AI is included at no charge. So again, the only difference between that right side on coverage details between the BOP and the PL and our GL is that the GL is an ISO form, BOP and PL are custom forms. So we say BOP is recommended for small business owners who need GL insurance coverage. They have business equipment, maybe even above and beyond something that GL would cover, like computers, printers, furniture, equipment. They own or rent an office or office building and have full-time employees and or temporary staff. And you can see down there, we've got our list of states that we don't have in the fold. I will go to the next screen, which is going to be that map. So still waiting on approvals for Washington, Alaska, Kansas, Ohio, West Virginia, Florida, and Rhode Island. We've been told that these are in the only ones that are still going to be outliers probably for the long term are going to be Rhode Island and Alaska. I believe we're just waiting for approvals on the other 4 or 5. And last but certainly not least, when it comes to our suite of products, is our cybersecurity product. This is our newest standalone monoline product. All right, we have over 480 classes now for our cyber product. And our cyber product is designed to cover privacy, data and network exposures, and provide peace of mind to the user. So it covers first-party breach response costs, third-party liability, including regulatory fines and penalties, covers cyber extortion costs, cyber business interruption costs, and data recovery costs. So it explicitly provides coverage for stopping and containing a data breach when that happens. It covers the notification, the voluntary notification that has to happen, and also those that are required by law. We have an optional coverage for digital media liability available as well. We have a max revenue of $5 million for new businesses and a loss of business income covered up to 120 days. Up to $1 million aggregate. So we have $250, $500, and $1 million options for aggregate coverage, with deductibles ranging from $1,000 to $25,000. Again, we talked about it up top, up to 480 classes of business, including existing classes you're familiar with the GL, PL, and BOP, and a 14-day cancellation guarantee. One question we get a lot for cyber is, will this cyber policy do something like pay the ransom if someone gets ransomware and their system gets locked? And the answer is yes. If the claims team determine that's the fastest way to get a policyholder's data back, that is an option on this policy. But we do have a longer educational series on our cyber, which I'm sure you've seen the J.E. Brown team kick out through some of the emails as well. That goes into real depth on the cyber product and answers all of the policy informed questions very, very explicitly. A little bit more of a deeper look at cyber. So who needs cyber? I mean, today, when you look at those 4 bullet points, any small business who accepts credit cards or other digital payment types, any small business who uses computers and mobile devices, anyone who keeps medical or financial data, and anyone who stores confidential customer information. I think in today's age, that speaks to the large majority of businesses and the way they transact. And then you can see on the right-hand side there, 480 classes. These are some examples. Some of our more popular examples are property managers, any sort of creative or consulting classes. Dentist office are very popular these days, any sort of medical or dental office. So just to give you an idea of what kind of classes are included. And cybersecurity insurance protects insureds from lost business revenue, money lost due to fraudulent activity, defense against any sort of privacy lawsuits or fines, and then breach response resources if an attack occurs. So it's a full-scale cyber policy. Again, it's admitted and it is monoline, so it can be sold by itself or with other policies. Here's our state map. All right, all states except Washington and Alaska are available right now. I believe Washington's coming very soon, so probably by the middle of the year, the only outlier here will be Alaska. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about operational basics here at Hiscox. So again, same day coverage for all these professions we talked about. If you log on right now and want to bind coverage for April 17th, we can do it. Here's a pretty big list of our classes that we cover in sort of industries. This is not an exhaustive list. The best place to find that list is on the J.E. Brown website. If you click on the Hiscox tile and bounce over to our portal, we have an electronic appetite guide on there where you can search each line of business and see which class of business applies. So it's a really comprehensive appetite guide. But just some examples, we do architects and engineering classes. Consulting classes are super popular right now. Health, beauty, fitness, wellness, marketing and creative, technology. So these are some of the other ones that are outside what Hiscox is known for. So we're really known for, if you ask someone, what does Hiscox do really well? They'll say small contractors, and they'll say landscape, janitorial, lawn care, those kind of services. Those are always in our top 3 with all of our partners. But this is a good look at some of those other classes that are growing and gaining traction in our portfolio. I put some target classes on here for the J.E. Brown agent base. So I broke it down by line of business, and these are the most popular that we're seeing for 2024 so far. So again, GL, we talked about this, janitorial cleaning services. You're going to see landscape gardening. Those are always up there in the top 10. But mobile food's jumping up there. We just had a change in our BOP appetite where we are not writing mobile food in BOP anymore. So all of that risk is now coming over, and all those opportunities are going to the GL side of things. So GL is jumping up really high in mobile food. We do stores with no food or drink coverage. Handy person, like I talked about, is always very popular. And then personal training and beautician and cosmetology services. For PL, no surprise for probably most of you on this call, insurance agent is a very popular class for us. But then we'll start looking at all of our consulting classes. So we've got business consulting, we've got management consulting, other consulting. I know if I drop this down a little more, IT consulting would be down here. So all of those professional services where those errors and omissions could be a risk are very popular. For BOP, I'm going to have to remove this. I should have removed it before the call, but mobile food is no longer able to be written. So you can scratch that one off and you can write that under GL. But stores, so with and without food and drink, are by far our most popular classes in BOP these days. Insurance agent BOP has become very popular toward the middle of 2023 and into 2024. And then real estate, nonprofit, and you can see down the list, photography. Photography is always very popular for BOP because of the equipment and the contents that come along with that. And then cyber, property management is our number 1. And then you'll see a lot of those more cyber-based industries that keep a lot of information, like accounting, consulting, financial planning, tax prep. No surprise to anybody in those industries that cyber will be very important to have coverage for when it comes to the risk involved. All right, and this is the last few slides here, and then I'm going to open it up. We'll address the questions as we go along. So just a couple tools and resources. So our resource center lives on our portal, our J.E. Brown portal. And in that resource center, you can find class of business guidelines, any sort of marketing material. So we have an area where you can drop down and download marketing material where you can input and customize it for your specific agency to either use as a PDF emailer, or if you're doing a mailing campaign or a door-to-door campaign, you can print those PDF forms out with your information on them per class and per line of business. We have sample specimen forms on there so you can see what coverages are specifically offered under all of our policies. And then we have an endorsement search. There's an area there to manage your policy, so you can request a COI, you can transact, submit an AOR or BOR request, and then submit a claim on that portal as well. We talked about it at the first slide, but we do have a dedicated service center. We have 2 locations, one in Chesapeake, Virginia, one in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we have hours of operation available from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The toll-free number there you can call. Again, you can do things like quote and bind a policy from start to finish, request policy documents, update credit card information. They're a full service center. We do have Spanish-speaking advisors available. And then more popular, growing in popularity, is our chat feature. So when you log onto that portal, when you jump on there, there's going to be a little window on the right with chat. That chat is manned by a live service agent. So it's not like it's going into an AI and kind of spinning you around in circles until you get frustrated and keep typing agent over and over again. That's manned by a live person, and they will pick up and can do all the servicing requests that you would do over the phone. So if you're one of the people like me who doesn't really like to spend time on the phone and potentially talk to a person, you can go right to the chat feature and get those done. And again, we talk about those changes you need to do to your client's policy. The ones here on the left are ones you can do through the portal in the portal request form. And the ones on the right here are ones we're going to need to talk to you for either on the phone or the chat feature. So they're a little more laborious internally, and we want to make sure we're collecting all the proper information. So this is either call in to have these changes done, okay, or you can do that through the chat feature. Almost done here with the claims process. Really simple. We have 4 ways to do it. You can do it online. Okay, there's a quick form on that portal we just talked about. You could send an email with the supporting documentation to reportaclaim@hiscox.com. You can call, speak directly to a claims rep, or you can send everything through the mail to the 5 Concourse Parkway in Atlanta. That'll be assigned to a claims rep, and then they'll get in touch with you to start that process. I'm done filibustering, I promise you, and we'll go to the Q&A portion of the event. Do I see any questions that have come in?
Yeah, that was great, Sean. I do want to hit on a couple of things really quickly. I do see a question in there that we can address. For everyone on the call, the Hiscox Now portal is really the go-to, the be-all of portals. I mean, you can do so much in there. There's so much information, appetite, marketing support. All you really need to do is log into jebrown.net, click on that button. If you are not set up with Hiscox and you want maybe a little bit of guidance on that, feel free to reach out to J.E. Brown. We'll happily get you set up in that system, because everyone on this call does have a dedicated regional sales manager at J.E. Brown. That person is there to support you in getting to Hiscox Now, getting those quotes done, going through the system, all of those marketing resources, and fantastic things like that. So it looks like Sean's pulling up that portal right now. Are you about to show the appetite section, Sean?
Yeah, I am. I think that's really important. So this is the J.E. Brown portal we referenced. Can you see that okay? Is that big enough on your screen, Alvin? Do I need to blow it up a little bit? Okay, I'll go a little bigger just for purposes here. So this is where you would start, to get a quote. If you're already an agent with the J.E. Brown appointment, you could sign in right here. If you just want to get a quote preview, if you're not maybe appointed yet, or you want to see how that works, and you're considering working through J.E. Brown to see what the Hiscox appetite looks like, you can go here and get a quote preview, and it'll take you all the way through to finalize a quote. You can't bind it at that point until you have a login, but you can at least see what the rates look like and how the journey looks. But up here is our resource center. So we talked about some of the things with the custom marketing materials and the specimen forms, but the appetite guide, I think, is really where this shines. And the appetite guide, you can sort it by industry, right? So if I want to go and look at, let's say, consulting services, and then these are the products that are offered across all of consulting. And if I click specifically to management consulting, I can then see which Hiscox products we have eligible. So we have cyber, professional, general liability, and BOP. So it's all four. Okay. If I was to go and do this again, I would go back. I could do something like a medical dental office. I think I saw that. And if I click dental, I believe we are going to have just cyber and BOP. Okay, so cyber and BOP would apply there as well. All right. So that'll give you a good idea. And then if you want to go down by line of business, all the way down here, let me click out and get that to the home part of the sort. All four of our product lines will be down here. And if I click professional liability, it's a really cool tool. It'll give you the highlights that we talked about on the webinar. So ag limit, some of the benefits we talked about, some features, 270 minimum premium, it's admitted, the revenue limits, minimum years experience and in business, and then payroll limits. And then it'll give you the state availability map, like we talked about. So as Alvin said, it's a really cool tool. It's slick. You can get a lot of your questions answered right here on the Resource Center. And then the Manage Policy main page is where you can go to do any sort of policy changes. Here's a reminder, right? Online policy changes and then ones we need to talk to you for. If I hit this, it'll take me right to policy request changes. So I'd put in who I write with, obviously J.E. Brown, my first name, my last name, my email. That's the contact where our team will reach you with the information. And then 2 bits of information about the policy. You would then click what you wanted to achieve, and then any sort of questions or comments that you had to maybe clarify, submit that. 24 to 48 hours, you should hear from one of our representatives.
All right. Well, it looks like that's all the questions. Sean, do want to thank you for the presentation today, and everyone on the call. Thank you so much for joining us. If you need any more information, feel free to reach out to J.E. Brown. You can call into our office, send an email to one of your contacts. We will get back to you. And with that, we'll finish up. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.